AEW Dynamite, once again, is live from Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida. Now that we're out of All Out, we're now on the road to Full Gear, I suppose, in November. And we've got a bit of a stacked card, a bit of a loaded card for tonight. It was only revealed like 2 days ago, it might have even been Monday night, that AEW was going to be on Wednesday this week. They weren't sure originally what day the show was going to be on. That's because of the NBA playoffs, but we're on Wednesday, which means we're getting the first instance of the Wednesday Night Wars with NXT and AEW for the first time in about 3 or 4 weeks now. So big show on both shows, stacked card on both shows. We're going to go through the card for tonight's AEW Dynamite, give a bit of a preview, what's going on, what to expect, that kind of deal. So the thumbnail on this one is Jericho and Jake Hager, the Inner Circle, going up against Private Party. So we'll start off with that one. Now, obviously, Chris Jericho is kind of on a different path now. He had his defeat in the Mimosa Mayhem match at All Out against Orange Cassidy, but last week on AEW Dynamite, Jericho bounced back in a no disqualification tag team match where he teamed up with Jake Hager, where they defeated Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss with some help from a fire extinguisher. And then, as seen last week on Dynamite, they declared their intent to challenge for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. So this is interesting. This is interesting because Chris Jericho doesn't get involved in anything just out of the blue randomly. So I think potentially at Full Gear, we're going to get Jericho and Hager versus FTR, which certainly isn't a direction that I thought we were going to go in coming out of All Out and after FTR won the World Tag Team Championship. Because it's interesting because who's the babyface there? They're two heel tag teams. There's no doubt in my mind that either one of them isn't going to turn babyface. FTR's only recently properly solidified themselves as heels in AEW. Jericho prefers to be a heel. He doesn't want to be a babyface. Regardless of him being a heel or not, he's going to get cheered. But he's a heel. He does his best work as a heel. He does his best work being over the top, heelish. Chris Jericho, that's his deal. So I think that the fact that they've called out FTR makes me think that we're going to have a tag team title match between Hager, Jericho, and FTR at Full Gear. The issue there is that FTR isn't going to drop the belts anytime soon. I mean, they're arguably the best tag team in the world right now, or certainly up there in the conversation. So they're not going to drop the titles in the first pay-per-view that they defend them on. Does that mean Jericho's going to lose again? Because that would mean he lost to Orange Cassidy on Dynamite a few weeks ago. Then he lost to Orange Cassidy once again at All Out, and then he would lose at Full Gear. And then suddenly Chris Jericho gets on a bit of a losing streak, which is an interesting proposition that they could follow in AEW. So that's certainly interesting. As far as Private Party, I mean, what more needs to be said about Private Party? They're a fantastic tag team. I love their work. I think they're going to be absolute huge stars in AEW. They're still very, very young. I think one of the more interesting elements of this match is that, of course, Private Party has their mentor, Matt Hardy, and it would appear that Matt Hardy is going to be accompanying them to ringside for this match. And, of course, there's still a lot of concern and speculation after the Matt Hardy incident at All Out. Did he have a concussion? Didn't he have a concussion? Tony Khan says he didn't. His wife, Rebby Hardy, says he did, even though the AEW insists that Matt Hardy didn't have a concussion and he was cleared to compete in the match, during the match, and he post-concussion protocol after the match. Regardless, he remained in hospital for about a day, and he wasn't allowed to drive himself home, and he could have flown home, but he was driven home. Makes you wonder, because someone with a concussion, they would be able to drive themselves home, or they would just fly home. And I don't care if he had MRIs or CAT scans, they don't determine if you've got a concussion or not. They just look for other injuries associated with head injuries, fractured skulls, that kind of thing, or a brain injury. So I still have my reservations about all of that, and if he was healthy, he would be competing on Dynamite. He isn't, and he won't be on tonight's episode either. What I will say is I thought his promo last week on Dynamite was very good, and maybe they're looking to turn something negative into a positive. Again, I still don't know how I feel about them turning this, what was truly a horrifying incident, All Out, and could have been something much, much worse. I mean, not wanting to be overly dramatic, but that genuinely could have been life-threatening. It was that kind of a fall, 10 feet in the air, back of his head on concrete. people die from doing that. So that was horrible to see, and as a fan, I hope I never see anything like that again. Unfortunately, it's professional wrestling, and it's 2020, and people take risks. But I just would it would make me feel uneasy if they continue to turn this Matt Hardy into, well, look at him, he's a veteran and he's fighting back, and he came back from this horrible injury. Ultimately, the thing that's left a bad taste in my mouth is the way that AEW handled it in the first place. I don't want to see them exploit it, so we'll have to wait on seeing that. As far as this match tonight, I do think Jericho and Hager will win because they're building up momentum for their future tag team title match. Chris Jericho's just box office, isn't he? Every segment he's in is must-see, and some of the highest rated and viewed stuff on the show, so I have no doubt it will be fantastic to watch. So what else have we got for tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite? Well, we've got a parking lot fight between Santana and Ortiz and the Best Friends, and this has kind of been building up for a while now, hasn't it? It's been building up since the Santana and Ortiz Proud and Powerful destroyed Trent's mother's minivan, and they've been, if you've been watching AEW Dynamite or you've been watching AEW Dark in recent weeks, basically the formula that follows is either Proud and Powerful have a match or the Best Friends have a match, then as they're leaving they brawl into the parking lot. So we're going to get that kind of deal tonight. Parking lot brawls, they're actually super difficult to do well. Historically, they sometimes they don't turn out great. I think in 2020, in the cinematic style, you've got a greater potential to do something good and greater potential to do something fun. I'm sure we'll have a cameo. I would think we're going to have a cameo in this match from Trent's mother. She has been at the recent tapings. I think even last week, she took cookies to the Dynamite tapings, and that got very popular and well done on over at Fightful.com, and we even saw it get very viral on social media, with people like MJF saying they were terrible and Eddie Kingston saying they were terrible, and some people said they were nice. I'm sure we'll get something like that. So check out, or keep an eye out for a Trent's mom or mother appearance tonight on Dynamite. But also maybe check out for a cookie Easter egg at some point. I think we could potentially see that too. But because it's a parking lot fight, I'm sure we'll see a lot of crazy bumps and crazy spots, but it should be a lot of fun. And I believe, if I recall correctly, and this is just off the top of my head now, a parking lot deal was scheduled between the Best Friends, but I don't think it was against the Proud and Powerful. It might have been against someone else. It might have been the Lucha Brothers or something, or maybe Blade and Butcher. It was planned, but that was prior to the pandemic, and they decided not to do it in the end. But I do remember that, so maybe they've circled back to getting the parking lot brawl that they originally wanted. Support for Wrestle News 365 is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Now, Manscaped, for all of my UK fans out there, Manscaped just launched in the UK. Over here in the United Kingdom, we have gone for years and years and years without using the right tools for the job. But now you can be one of the first men in England to experience their life-changing product. But it's not just limited to all of the great fans over here in the UK. This offer goes worldwide, so all of my friends over in America and around the world that are listening to this offer still does apply for you. You can still use our code. But I've got to tell you a quick story first. Now, there have been so many times, right? I'm a guy. You gotta groom down there, fellas, right? That's the most important thing. You gotta keep yourself trimmed, you gotta keep yourself proper, and a lot of the time I've been guilty of this, of using the wrong tools for the job. I've had incidences, I'm not afraid to say it, where things have been nicked, snagged, or in fact cut down there because I wasn't being careful enough and using the right equipment. Now that just shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen. You don't want to be worrying about cutting yourself down there. Do you know how painful that is? I can tell you, it hurts quite a lot, and I wish and hope to God it never happens to me again, and it won't happen to me ever again because I'm using Manscaped products. That's why Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer. The Manscaped engineering team has perfected the greatest ball hair trimmer ever created. Big statement, but it's absolutely true. They have just released the new and improved Lawnmower 3.0 in the UK. It's also available around the world as well. Their third generation trimmer features a cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents. So those cuts and snags that I was telling you about before are a thing of the past. And let me tell you, when I tell you this is premium, I mean premium. The battery will last up to 90 minutes, so you can get a longer, perfect shave. And not only that, you don't want to be cutting yourself and trimming yourself all over the bathroom, getting hair all over the place. That's just disgusting. The lawnmower has a waterproof technology that allows you to groom in the shower, so no more mess. And one of the coolest features, one of my favourite features about the lawnmower, is the LED light which illuminates grooming areas for a closer and more precise trimming experience. So you can shave longer, you can shave more precisely, and you can shave in the shower. What more did I need to tell you? They've also upgraded to a 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology, and let's not forget about the charging stand. You can show off your mower loud and proud because this intelligently designed stand is a convenient charging dock powered by USB. So, if you are listening to me speak right now, I want you to experience it firsthand for yourself. Let's get that bush to tush clean, and you can get 20% off and free shipping. Yeah, you heard me right there. 20% off and free shipping. All you have to do is use the code 365wrestle at manscaped.com. Make your testes their besties. That's 20% off and free shipping. Not only are you getting 20% off, you're getting free shipping as well with the code 365wrestle at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and use the code 365wrestle. Your balls will thank you. So what else have we got for tonight's episode of Dynamite? Well, we've also got the NWA World Women's Championship on the line as NWA World Women's Champion Thunder Rosa defends against Ivelisse. And this is just the continuation of Thunder Rosa appearing in AEW, but the NWA's relationship with AEW. Now, I think a lot of people, myself included, were a little bit concerned that the match with Hikaru Shida and the build-up to that would be the only thing of Thunder Rosa that we would see in AEW, but it's not. Thankfully, AEW has realized, look, our women's division isn't the best, and that's probably putting it lightly. It just isn't very good. And there's multiple reasons for that. One is because they probably need to invest in more talent, but I think the bigger issue is the presentation of female wrestling in AEW. You look at NXT last week, and people say, oh, it's unfair to compare AEW to NXT. It isn't. They're competitors. They're on the same. They air at the same time in the same time slot on the same night of the week. So it's not unfair to compare them in the slightest. And you look at NXT's women's division, it just blows AEW's out the water. Last week, the main event on NXT was a steel cage match between Rhea Ripley and Mercedes Martinez, and for me, it's one of the best TV main events all year. It was fantastic, and certainly one of the best female matches all year. And I think the best AEW female match we've seen in the company's history, in its short history, was at All Out with Thunder Rosa versus Hikaru Shida. And a big part of that, obviously, Hikaru Shida is very, very good, but a big part of that is Thunder Rosa. She's just that good. So I think AEW knows that, and I think AEW is doing everything they can to keep her around, although ultimately she's still under contract with NWA. She's done a lot of interviews recently and said, look, NWA, because they weren't running shows in the pandemic, they basically said to us, go out, find bookings. If you can get booked, take it. But you're still under contract with NWA. It just means you're getting less money from the NWA. So she's still under contract with the NWA, and she's been very vocal in that she doesn't want to leave the NWA, anything like that. If anything, she's very proud that she's probably the first ever NWA World Women's Champion to be going to another big promotion, defending her title and trying to challenge for the other title. So I'm fascinated to see where this goes, because I'd like to see a Thunder Rosa Hikaru Shida rematch, this time for the NWA World Women's Championship, maybe in an NWA ring, and then you have a blow-off match where it's champion versus champion, both titles on the line. I think that's a lot of fun. As far as Ivelisse, Ivelisse won the Women's Tag Team Cup with Diamante. Ivelisse, I believe what they're basically doing with her, the problem is with Ivelisse is there's a lot of baggage. She's a fantastic wrestler, but a lot of promotions have passed on her, and that's rumored to be because of some attitude issues, behavioral issues, or just not hanging out with the best crowd. I think this is why that on her first match on AEW Dynamite, she jobbed out to Diamante. She's been paired with Diamante, and I think she'll do the job here in this match. And the reason why is because they're testing her. They're trying to find out, look, is Ivelisse, is she going to throw a stink? Is she going to throw her hands in the air. She's going to have a bad attitude for doing jobs, and they're testing her. And if they can get her on track, look, she's a fantastic performer. She's the caliber of athlete and wrestler that you need to be signing if you're going to make this women's division a success. But they need to overcome those attitude issues, those rumored attitude issues, if they are there. So that's why they're putting Eva Lise in this match for several reasons, really. One, the match is going to be fantastic, but two, they're still testing her. So Thunder Rosa, of course, is going to win. We're not going to have a NWA World Women's Championship switch here. But I think this is the next stage of getting back to Thunder Rosa versus Hikaru Shida 2. I would just like to have that title match appear in an NWA ring, and then you have both in an AEW ring, maybe at Full Gear. So I think maybe that's the direction they might be going with that one. So we've got non-tag team title action. As I mentioned previously, the AEW World Tag Team Champions FTR, Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood, of course with Tully Blanchard in their corner, we're facing off against Jurassic Express, which is Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus with Marco Stunt in their corner. Now, of course, this kind of comes off of what happened last week. So, of course, FTR won the World Tag Team Championships at All Out. So last week they wanted to celebrate it in front of a worldwide audience on Dynamite. It started off wow, and there were other tag teams out to recognize the two new champions, but it quickly turned sour as the new tag team champions FTR ran down every team out there to acknowledge their accomplishment. It didn't matter if it was FCU, Private Party, the Gun Club, or Jurassic Express. They all got a verbal smack talk from FTR. But Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, they took umbrage with this verbal abuse from FTR. FTR tried to get the jump on Jurassic Express, but bailed out of the ring. But they didn't run far enough because, as FTR have done recently by pouring the cooler onto people, it was Jurassic Express that poured the cooler onto FTR and Tully Blanchard. So we're getting the match here. First of all, FTR will win because they haven't lost a tag team match in AEW as of yet, and they're not going to do it on a random Dynamite. So that's just that. FTR, like I said, for me, they're in the conversation as the best tag team in the world right now. Big statement, but that's just how good they are. I've seen some talk that people are a bit underwhelmed with their start in AEW, even though they are the tag team champions. Look, I think their match at All Out was good. I don't think it was as good as people thought, and maybe expectations were too high, but also there's a lot of factors involved in that All Out pay-per-view for why it wasn't good. The heat, the crowd being tired, the Matt Hardy incident, all of it. I don't think it's a fair judge of FTR. I really don't. So this match will be very good. Styles make matches, styles make fights. FTR have a very different style to Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. Look, Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy are fantastic as a tag team. I do see their major money being as single stars. Jungle Boy for me is a future world champion. It's just a case of finding, he's got to develop maybe a little bit more. He's still young, but he's going to be that big baby face. You wonder if he can continue on with this sort of Jungle Boy gimmick to get to a world champion level, but this is AEW, anything's possible. And Luchasaurus, and with the guy dressed up as a dinosaur, but he's credible as all hell because he's a giant man and he can still do anything. So their match that they had with the Young Bucks at All Out, for me, was the best match on the show. It really was. That was the match that I think the crowd were into it. The Matt Hardy incident hadn't happened yet. They crushed it. They absolutely crushed it. So they're on a roll. So I think this is a sleeper. This is going to be a lot of fun. I think this one could absolutely steal the show as well. Also announced, we have a singles match which is Hangman Adam Page versus Frankie Kazarian. Of course, this is going to continue the dissension between Hangman Page and Kenny Omega. I think Kenny Omega, look, he pretty much said last week, I'm focusing on my singles career now. This is eventually going to get to a Hangman Page versus Kenny Omega match at Full Gear, which is where I think the Young Bucks will also get involved. Of course, the Young Bucks last week super kicked Alex Marvez, which I thought was hilarious. Just the way he sold it and the way he went, ooh, when it happened. That was a lot of fun. So look, I think this is just going to be the next chapter. Expect maybe to see a Kenny Omega appearance or something along that nature. As I've mentioned a million times before, I think when Hangman Page distanced himself from the Elite at the start of the year, the plan was to turn him heel. He got too popular, and the easy thing now is to do what the Elite was in New Japan. The Elite, which was Kenny Omega and the Bucks, they were heels in New Japan for the majority of the time. Do what works. Hangman is over as a babyface. Keep him as a babyface. Have Omega and the Bucks as heels, as a trio. It just makes the most sense there. So I think that's what we're going to get in this one. Obviously, Hangman, I think, might win, but maybe we could see Omega do a distraction kind of deal too. Also, tonight we're going to have appearances from Jon Moxley and Lance Archer, of course. Lance Archer won the 2020 Casino Battle Royale at All Out, which means he has a future AEW World Championship opportunity. That is going to be on the anniversary edition of AEW Dynamite on October 14th, which is basically the 1-year anniversary of AEW Dynamite's first episode. So I don't think Lance Archer is going to become world champion, far from it, but I think he's following a bit of a similar pattern basically in AEW, whereby he gets built up, goes on these undefeated streaks, and then he has the big match, and then he's not going to win. It's going to be the same as Double or Nothing, where he blitzed through that tournament and got to the final, but then he lost to Cody. I think it's going to be the same here against Jon Moxley on the anniversary edition of Dynamite. He's going to win, he's going to win, he's going to win, and then he'll lose eventually. I just worry that would be 2 big matches that Lance Archer has lost. But again, maybe that's the point. The point of building up a big heel is to have that ultimate match against the lovable babyface. So I'm sure we'll have some promos. I'm interested to see Jon Moxley and Jake Roberts face off in promos. That's going to be a lot of fun. Jake Roberts, sometimes in the recent promos he had with Taz, I thought they stepped over each other a bit too much, and maybe that's because of the off-the-cuff nature and lack of script in AEW, which by far I'm not saying is a bad thing, far from it. If anything, it's a good thing, because that's how real people talk. Sometimes it just made it a bit difficult to listen to and watch, but I'm interested. I thought Taz's interactions with Jon Moxley during the Brian Cage feud were a lot of fun, so I expect the same thing here with Jake Roberts and Lance Archer during this feud with Jon Moxley. And finally, we have MJF in action. Now, after MJF lost his World Championship match at All Out, MJF is looking to build his way back up. He's trying to recover after this defeat. Last week, the interesting part of his segment was his face-off with Wardlow. Now, he fired all of his MJF 2020 crew, thank God, because I hated that gimmick. He didn't need it, and I found it was just stupid heading into All Out, quite frankly. But he kind of got in the face of Wardlow. So eventually we're going to get Wardlow turning on MJF. I wouldn't want to see it be MJF turn on Wardlow. I'd rather it be the other way, because for me, if when Wardlow turns on MJF, the way I compare it to is Batista Triple H. If they build it right, and they build it, and they build it, and they build it, if you have that moment that Wardlow turns on MJF, it's going to be like Triple H and Batista. I think it's going to be that big, or, some people will get very frustrated with me comparing it to a classic angle like that, but I think it can be like that, and Wardlow, for me, has a huge upside, and I think that once they turn him, he's going to be a big deal. I thought his match in the steel cage against Cody earlier this year was an indicator of exactly how good he can be and how good he will be when he's moved into a single star. And even though I said finally, I did miss one last bit off. That, of course, is the appearance of Miro, the second appearance after the former Rusev made his appearance last week on AEW Dynamite. So we're going to see what is the latest saga in the relationship between Miro, Kip Sabian, and Penelope Ford as they move closer to the wedding of Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford on an upcoming edition of Dynamite. I'm sure we'll have some wedding planning segments or whatever. I know a lot of people that said, wow, it's a bit weird that he's involved in this whole, he's involved in this best man thing. Look, Rusev can get anything over. Miro, let's call him Miro. Miro can get anything over, and I have no doubt about that. He'll get whatever over. I think, personally, at this point, we're probably going to have the wedding of Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford on the Dynamite anniversary edition in October. To me, that makes the most sense. And look, like I said, Miro can get anything over. He's been involved in quite a few weddings in WWE history, so I'm sure he'll do the same thing. And like he said, he loves weddings. And Miro was on Dynamite last week. It did 1 million viewers. It wasn't related, obviously, to him, but let's see if he can do the same. But I'm just fascinated to see. I think Miro's probably was the hottest free agent. He was the biggest star to be released by WWE in April. And everyone wants to see him succeed. He's a huge talent. He's got a huge upside. At one point, he was one of the most over guys in WWE, selling the most merchandise, getting the most reaction. I want to see him do it again. And this time, I don't want to see him get held back. And that's what I don't think will happen this time. I truly don't think so. So, Really excited to see what Miro brings to the table tonight on Dynamite. But of course, as always, this is just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts and predictions for AEW Dynamite tonight? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll be sure to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys. If you haven't already, please do smash a like on the like button as well. Really just help us out here on YouTube, go up the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now. Or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video, along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. And I'll speak to you again very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.